start? Cool. All right, so get everyone and welcome to another hashtag Ask Jim. It's a very cold night in Mooroolbark. It's very, very cold. I know you like the cold, Jim, but I don't. I'm very freezing at the moment, so it's not been good, and we're doing the training week process as well. Before we get started tonight, I just want to make sure everyone online knows that we have the Jim's Local Heroes project that's going, it's live now for Victoria, then we'll move it around, but do you want to maybe mention a bit about that initiative that we're doing for the group?
Well, we're looking for people in the community, worthy people who don't get recognition, maybe not the famous, but some people who've gone out of their way to help others, been a great part of the community. And what we're going to do is give them a package of help from a lot of our franchisees. So whatever it needs, a new garden, fixing up things around the house, a bit of fencing, whatever. We'll just come in and give some recognition to people who deserve it.
It's worth 20 grand. So if you have a crack, so all you need to do is go to gyms.net, under the news section is the Jim's Local Heroes page, and then just nominate someone in Victoria and give us a bit of detail about the story, because it's not a game of chance. We're going to pick someone from the story you tell us. Yeah. So please make sure you do that as well. It's worth 20 grand. Then after the one in Melbourne, we're going to go to New South Wales and we'll go to Brisbane and we'll take it around the country as well. So first one's Vic Metro. That's 20 grand worth of gym services. Entries close end of May. So make sure you get that in the end of May if you're in Victoria. Nominate someone as well. And the other thing I want people to know online for socials is we're going to do another Jim's logo comp. Would you like the logo comps? We do have a logo generator on our website where you can make your own memes and all that sort of stuff. And we're going to do another logo comp, give away some gift vouchers and stuff like that. And you're going to pick the winners again, which is always quite popular online. So make sure you stay tuned to the social media pages for that as well. Now let's get into Ask Jim. Over to you.
Jim, Mike Maynard from Test and Tag up in Nightcliff, Northern Territory. Jim, hope I don't put the moz on you at all with this question, but would you mind talking to your succession plan and its how that might impact franchisees with gyms moving forward in the event of something not going well?
It's a good question. My health is about as perfect as it can be. I'll probably live about another 20 years, which is about the length of that's about the length of your franchise contract. So the chance I'll be around for quite a long while. I have a family trust set up, and the votes go to my children and their married partners. And I have some pretty great kids and some pretty great sons-in-laws and daughters-in-law as well. So the basic idea is staying within the family. We will be putting a clause in the contracts that will actually stop the majority control of Jim's group being sold without the written consent of a majority of franchisees. Because the thing I fear most is some greedy multinational coming in, grabbing it, saying, we're going to make a lot of money, which you could do with the wrong person in charge. It's happened to good brands in the past. That is my greatest fear. I'm confident we're grooming the next succession, next generation. I'm confident that we'll be able to avoid that. But anyway, hopefully a long time in the future. I mean, Warren Buffett's still going in his 90s, so is Rupert Murdoch. So why shouldn't I live until similar age?
Very good question. Comes up all the time. We get it all the time.
It's a very good question though, and it's right to be concerned, because a bad franchisor can rip people off blind. I've seen it happen. It'd be harder with our contracts and systems because of the way they're drawn up, but it's not impossible if somebody got control with the wrong attitude and said money first.
You asked it in a very polite way as well. Some people aren't polite when they ask that question.
What happens when you snuff it, Jim?
Too hard, too early. Thank you.
Very good, man. That's how easy it is. So that's all you need to do, guys. Come up and ask Jim a question on the mic. So jump up, please. If not, just jump up. Don't have to look. Just come up, guys. We encourage it. We'll get to your questions if there's none, but we'll keep going.
This is one of our Queenslanders enjoying our bracing weather.
It is extremely different weather than Cairns. So
they set their temperatures for 26 degrees, they tell me.
Just so you can sleep.
And I said, there's a room in my house that's like that. It's called the sauna.
I said, check me into that. So thank you for the time. The question that I had is, what do you see as the biggest threat to franchise moving forward in, say, the next 5 years? And what is it that gyms and as franchisees we can do about protecting that?
Well, look, it's a good question, actually. Look, in all due modesty, I'd say the biggest danger is something happening to me, really, because the control ultimately is going to be with somebody who has the right sense of ethics. And it does concern me. I mean, I have got great health, but I could get into a car smash or get bitten by a snake. I spend a lot of time walking around my farm, and they've got poisonous snakes all over the place there, so it's possible. That'd be our biggest concern. I think in general we're getting better at what we do, and you can see the trends. Our levels of complaint are going down. We've got really good IT stuff going on that should take them down further, give much better support. Within 18 months, I expect our IT to be well developed, vastly beyond what it is now, big huge advantages. So there's certainly no threat from any competition. Yep. We're just crushing everybody else, and it's very difficult to compete with us because we're spending like $5 million a year on IT. Who else can afford that? Yep. And we've got this brand and this name which is so dominant in Australia, increasingly in New Zealand. So I think as long as we have good leadership and good people, and we've got a very good team, including, well, not including this guy, but apart from him, they're really, really good. I've got a good team of managers. We've got great franchises. We've got a great culture. I think if we continue what we're doing and just keep on improving, we will do really well.
So maybe tell a little bit back, and this is a good question, about the high pages back in the day. So I remember back in the office when high pages come out and you sort of were a bit unsure about what was going to happen back then, and then how that's gone from then. Well,
it's interesting. You see, high pages. Think about it. Jim's is not all that huge a business. I mean, I wouldn't reach the top, the BIW top 250 or whatever. We're not that wealthy. You get a company like High Pages. It's backed in part by News Corp, and I like News Corp. They were really good for us during lockdown. They were fantastic. But this is a multi-billion-dollar international company funding this thing, High Pages. Let me tell you, we crush them. We really do. They're pathetic. As far as I know, they've never made a profit. Their service is awful. Customers hate them. The contractors involved hate them. I know because we have a system called Bizzer, where we sell our surplus jobs to contractors, and they say the same thing. Gee, but I wish I had more of yours, and this are these wretched High Pages leads. Yep. So we're up against a multi-billion-dollar company, and we're beating them hollow. We've got really big advantages. It's exciting, actually. It's really exciting. I am massively looking forward to the time ahead.
And your main competitor, which is Poolworks, they sold out to private equity around 18 months ago. Yeah. So we'll see how they go. They found it, yeah.
Excellent. There's too much greed for money. I think we never put money first. In the long term, you'll make good money, but you have to look after your people first, your values first. Franchisees, obviously, also staff, franchisors, customers. You've got lots of stakeholders. The whole idea that the only business of a company is making money is a nasty abortion. I really loathe it, and it's that popular opinion that's been around for so long. A company belongs to a lot of people, the stakeholders, not just to the owners to make a lot of money out of.
Well, I've witnessed firsthand for the last couple of weeks the way that everybody cares for each other, and it's not just said, it's been proven. So thank you, mate, for setting that standard for us. It's been great.
And I'm very confident that you'll see that when you start, that as you go to meetings, you'll find people who are really eager to help you, and you will adopt that culture yourself, and you will help others as they come through. I've heard so many stories all the time about that kind of stuff. It's good. Great question, actually. Make sure I get a prize.
I wrote it down. Don't worry. I'll flag it. Don't worry. All good. Well, guys, if you want to come and ask Jim a question, please just jump up. Don't wait. Come up. If not, I'll read them out here, and hopefully couple of people just come up. Just go over.
And there's two. You come forward.
These are our backup ones. So if you want to get your question. What was your name?
Chris Hunt.
Geez, I'm going to have to find that quick. All right. Oh, gee. We put me on the spot here.
Hey, one of the red rat bags. Ask your questions. You know what it is.
All right.
While you
can come over here and have a look with me if you want. Yeah.
You can kind of thank Sharon for this one.
Aha.
Can you tell us about your rowing machine run-in with Harvey Norman and how it ended?
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That one there? All right.
I like to keep fit. I do a lot of things like exercise and stuff. So I decided to buy a rowing machine, and I went to Harvey Norman, which is a reputable company, to buy a rowing machine, and it was so pathetic. I mean, you could be pulling it for half an hour, and you wouldn't even raise a sweat. It was so weak. So I contacted Harvey Norman and said, "Okay, what are you going to do with this machine? It's no good for purpose." Got no response. So after a week, I got this guy to come along with a video camera. Actually, was it you or Tom?
Me and Jake and Ben back
Me and
then.
Jake, yeah. And I got a sledgehammer and I smashed the thing to bits and I put it out on social media. And shortly after that, Harvey Norman rang up and said, "Oops, we're so sorry. We'll give you the money back." They didn't even ask for the wreckage.
So that's how we got their attention. They wouldn't listen. So we had to do that. So yeah, then that got onto you and no one to do it. So
how many hits did we get on that one?
50,000 back in the day. But we might have to repost it again and see if they take notice again.
I know. It was a lot of fun, actually. It didn't look very good at the end of that time, I can tell you.
You enjoyed it. You enjoyed it quite a lot. You get the sledgehammer and swing it around. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Sharon was a bit curious about how that actually ended.
Yeah, well, actually, once somebody actually contacted me and said, I'll give you a free one, which never came about. But I almost got my money back and a free one, but it was a good start. It was fun. And I got my money back.
yeah, good one. Thanks
Thank
for asking
you.
that. We'll have to repost it, I reckon, and see if they take notice of it again. Maybe they will get you the free one that comes out. We'll do it again. You got a question, guys? Just jump up and ask Prashant.
Okay. How did you get idea of starting Jim's group, right? What has changed in last few decades than when you started like earlier in those early days? And what would be the structure of Jim's group after you? I'm sorry to ask that, but what will happen Jim's group? Who will be the executive or something like that, like so?
Okay, well, I've just answered that question. But it wasn't so much me deciding to start a giant franchising company. It was me needing to pay the rent. Because I'd done a PhD for 10 years, which is a PhD in history, which is when you've got a PhD in history, of course you mow lawns for a living. Everybody knows that. No money in it. And so I was broke, deeply in debt, and I had some crappy old equipment from a part-time lawn mowing business as a student. And I just did that, and I built from it. So it was no great decision. I just looked at what I had and just kept on improving it.
Also, like, what has changed in your view, like in the last few past decades, than before and now? What have you seen, like, mostly change?
Change in what?
Change, like, I mean, like overall performance of like gyms, or or overall, how did you think? Did you ever think that the gyms will be like this big brand, like everyone knew, like
No.
gyms? Oh yeah.
When I started, somebody asked me how would I think it'd go, and I said maybe they might have 100. I really didn't have any idea how successful it would be. I don't think a lot of ways the society is moving in our favour. What I find is that with time, more and more people they're averse to working with their hands. Mm-hmm. People want, especially Australians, want desk jobs. So more and more of our fractures these days are new Australians coming from overseas who don't mind, having a go, getting your hands a bit dirty. I like having calloused hands, actually. I get it from gardening. I'm a bit of a dirt under my fingernails. I mean, to me that's good. But too many people just want to, desk job and sit in front of a computer all day and this kind of stuff. So I think I don't know, it's good that we've got immigration, I must say, because it would be very difficult to find franchisees if we didn't have a good immigration invitation.
Yeah, also like just from my personal point of view, right? It's really great to see one of the owner of the like big company, like which is so live simple life. I'm from like one part of country, right? The owner have like big car, security guards, blah blah, living the royal life. But when I see you, I think I personally get motivated from your life now. How I see you came to the mess, have a dinner with us, have a talk, have a chat, shake hands, photo, blah blah blah. I think it's really like you are a true person of motivation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for that.
That's okay.
And
Thank you, Prashant. Appreciate it. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, I stopped in a supermarket the other day and somebody's like, oh, you do your own shopping?
Thank you, Jim.
They had this idea that I'm some multi-millionaire living in a mansion with a mob of students.
Gold penthouse a few times to get that.
Yeah, we do. I live a pretty ordinary life. I buy my clothes from Kmart and
Holes in the socks.
and I wear my clothes. I wear them until they've got holes in them and I throw them out. So I'm a pretty ordinary life. The first time I ever bought a new car was like 80 months ago. Ever in my whole life, because I wanted electric. So yeah, I don't think spending money on display is a good thing. I think if you spend it on experiences or give it away to something you believe in, that's what the science tells us makes us happy. Just having the flashiest car, the biggest house, the most expensive holidays, the most elaborate wristwatch. There's no joy in that. You're just trying to be better than somebody else, and that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Got a question, guys? Come up and ask. Go for it.
Good day, Jim. I think first off, thank you for the opportunity to be a business owner. I think you're de-risking a risk of having a business and owning that Jim's brand. It's amazing. Thank you so much for that. I think 2 questions. First is, what is the mission and vision of Jim's? And the second question is, what is your short or long-term plan for the group?
The mission of Jim's is to look after franchisees. That's one thing. That's absolutely front and centre. And that doesn't mean to say we don't care about customers, because looking after customers is the best way to support franchisees. If I was to have an aim, if you asked me for an aim for this company, it would not be any particular number of franchisees, is that no franchisee would ever fail. That would be my aim. And that's the mission. And that's the thing we work towards all the time. I don't think I'll ever reach it. I'd love to. Somebody asked me what superpower I would like to have.
Yep.
And I said the one superpower I'd like to have is to be able to look into somebody and understand who they were, and then say to the 5% or so that aren't going to succeed, sorry, we can't take you.
Yep.
If I could do that, and then make sure we just got better and better support, that'll be fantastic.
That is so good.
And I just think we've got to keep on trying harder and getting better.
Yep.
And I think technology's got a lot of ways it can help us. The kind of stuff we have in mind, things like, for example, which we hope within 18 months to be able to do, to have clients book jobs straight into your diary if you wish, that kind of thing. Enable you to sell the rights to regular clients, even just a few. And if you wish to buy others closer to home with the money that you make, that kind of thing. There's a lot of things that we can do. There's things we can do to improve the levels of customer service, make it harder for somebody to be let down.
Okay.
We just want to get better and better. But the one mission, the absolute mission, is how can we make our franchisees into raving fans?
That's so good. That's so selfless. Thank you so much for that.
Good question. Got a question, guys? Feel free to come up and ask Jim. I've got a heap of them here. Well, in reality, get to most of them. So just come up and ask him at any time.
Hey, Jim. Jim, 2 questions. First one, what are you most proud of?
The fact that so many of my franchisees and franchisors genuinely care about other people. That is the one thing more than anything else by far that makes me proud. And I am proud of it because it's my values. I started the gyms with that kind of idea, with those values very strongly in my mind. I wasn't intending to be the biggest. I just wanted to look after my franchise really well. And it's just amazing to hear stories, to hear people who've been mentored and looked after, people who give up their time. You know, we've got franchisee mentors who actually give up their time to actually counsel others without any payment at all. I hear this stuff, and that's wonderful. That's amazing, because the culture of a company is what matters. There's a book called Good to Great. I don't know if you've read it. It's James Collins. They had a look at a whole lot of companies to try and figure out what made those companies so great long term. And the one thing they said they found in common was that each of these great companies had a culture. And we know we're great in the financial sense, but I think they're great in the sense of the quality of our people. And that is a very powerful culture. You'll feel it very widely through Jim's group. I'm very confident of that.
Great. And second question, obviously being very successful, lots of learnings along the way. What advice would you give your 25, 30-year-old self if you could have a chance?
There's a lot more money in mowing than I thought possible.
Go harder.
I had no idea.
So go harder.
If I was 25 years old and somebody told me you'd have a business that's got 5,000 plus franchisees, I'd say, what are you smoking?
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. It took me a long time to figure. Even after the start of the franchise, I really had no idea what I was getting into. It just amazed me. It's incredible what we've got now. Like, we had like 130 people in training this week. I mean, that's an absolute record. But, you know, that was my goal. That many franchisees in total, maybe, when I started. You just can't imagine how these things could be so successful. And I think we deserve to be, because it's a great system. And they've got so many great people, apart from this guy, of course.
Great, thank you.
And you get your face on a shirt, which people are wearing and asking you questions. It'd be weird as
I
well.
wish we'd get as GOAT. I know it means greatest of all times, but I always read GOAT.
It's like an NFL
just as a GOAT.
It's like a sports shirt. So it's like an NFL shirt
I
when we
know.
did it. It's good. It's a good one, take. If you've got a question, guys, feel free to come up and ask Jim anytime. No, I'll go to the list here if you want, but just come up and interrupt me. Star Wars, Jim. We always get questions about Star Wars. And if Richard or Russell want to come up, you can ask this question. Please feel free. No? Cool. Favourite Star Wars character, Jim, and then basically your favourite Star Wars movie and why.
Look, I go for Emperor Palpatine. I think this is a story of somebody who has a noble mission to bring peace and order to the galaxy. I mean, you've got to admire the guy. Starts off as some senator in a backwater planet and becomes Galactic Emperor. I mean, that's success, isn't it, really? The only thing I really object to, and this really annoys me, is in Return of the Jedi, that he tries to get Darth Vader, his main supporter, to kill his only son, and he gets chucked out and killed for it. I mean, how could anybody be so stupid? I think George Lucas is just talking through his head. So, yeah, Palpatine, definitely. Darth Vader's pretty good too.
Movie.
Actually, all the first 5 are good. I like the prequels because they talk about the turning from the dark side of the Force. That's a great story arc. And obviously Star Wars, The New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. I mean, they're 5 great films. I've seen them all several times. Good, aren't they? I remember taking my son, my young son, who'd never seen them. And so we started at the prequels, and he didn't know what was going to happen to Anakin Skywalker. So I was sort of throwing hints about this kind of thing. So he didn't know that he was going to turn into a bad guy. That was fun.
Yeah, come up and ask it. Go for it.
Hi, Jim. Speaking of killing, let's just say that you've just killed someone, okay, on accident, on purpose, whatever. Who is the person that you call to help you hide the body and why?
That's a first. That's a good question. That's a first. I don't know if you can answer that one or not. I don't know. It's on camera as well, remember? It's an original one.
Well, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but I'd call the police, okay?
You're not dobbing anyone in.
I would. If I killed them, I had a good reason. Well, for example, okay, let me put it. I'm a family man. I've got a wife I dearly love. I've got 10 children. If somebody was coming with deadly intent to hurt someone in my family, I would shoot them dead without any hesitation, and I do have a gun, okay? So anybody thinking about that, yes. I would have no moral qualms to protect my family. So that's the only reason I could think I would actually be shooting somebody or killing somebody. As far as accidents are concerned, look, I wouldn't do it deliberately, so...
Well, it's good to know the gun is your weapon of choice.
Very good question.
Well, I'm not very good at knives, you see, so I think the gun is... Well, I've got a farm, you see. We're overrun with feral animals like deer, and so we need to have a gun for that. I'm seriously don't think it's very likely, but still. You did ask the question. It's a good question. We'll definitely
I thought it was going to stump you. I thought it was a good one.
Well, we'll definitely give you one of the first choices of prizes for that one.
Thanks,
Nobody's
Jim.
ever asked that.
No one has.
Oh, good. That's good. Thank
Very
you.
original. Good one. Cool. We've got a question, guys. Feel free to come up and see and try and top that one if you can as well. One here we've got from David Collin. Is David Connolly here? David Connolly? Yep. Do you want to ask yours, David? Come up and jump over. And if you've got a question, guys, feel free to jump up anytime.
I was speaking to a whole lot of you before, and you all had good questions for me. Where are you all?
It's the camera.
Come on. Damn, come up. Queue up.
Yeah.
G'day, Jim. You've had some good questions, and now I'm going to give you mine. I read a bit about you, and I understand your first name's actually David.
Yes.
How did Jim come about, and what's the matter with the name David?
What's your name?
David.
Well, this is a bit sensitive, isn't it? Well, okay. What happened was when I left home, I took a gap year before going to uni, and I went to work on a farm in Western Australia. And there was a young guy there about my age, the son of one of the owners, whose name was David. So I just said, call me Jim, because it would be confusing to have 2 Davids. But at the same time, all right, I don't know what to say. If you ask women, they say David is a nice name. Women like David, but Jim is it's kind of butch, it's very Aussie, it's the kind of guy that goes out there and has a beer. No, I don't drink alcohol, so it's not really fitting that way, but it's very, very, it's sort of tough and earthy and Aussie, I guess. To me, David is more of an indoors name.
Oh, okay. I'll take that as a compliment, I think. It's not too late to change it back.
Which division are you doing, David? Which division?
Mowing.
Mowing.
Mowing. So
Well,
not indoors.
My actual name, this is my middle name, is David James.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can't use my second name, but that's the reason. My family never got used to it. They still call me, and elderly relatives sometimes call me David, but apart from that, Jim.
Okay. Well, it's working.
Yeah,
Thanks.
why
No, it's a good question. Good question. Come on, guys, ask Jim a question as well. If not, we'll keep going for these ones here.
Yeah.
We've got a gentleman jumping up.
Good.
Do you know God?
not? Yeah, well, as well as I can, yeah. We actually had a meeting last night with our church group, and we're talking about that, how you feel with the Spirit, how you get close to God.
Okay.
And we're talking about different ways of doing it, like fasting and reading the Bible and prayer and listening to sermons and so forth. And
Okay.
yeah, so I gather you're
I'm a Christian, yes.
too. Yeah, God bless you. That's good to hear.
We've got some stuff on the YouTube channel with Jim talking about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there too. I have to say too, I have a lot of respect for people of faith. We have a lot of wonderful people in gyms who are Muslims in particular, in the cleaning and car cleaning, those divisions. And,
Okay.
they're really great people. A laundry is run by Bill Cobanoglu, who's a very sincere Muslim. We have a lot of Sikhs too, great franchisees. So I often find a strong resonance with people of faith, of any faith, that we do tend to think the same. But I am personally a Christian.
Okay.
There you go, good question. Come up and ask Jim a question, guys. If not, we'll keep running through these ones as well. Just jump up anytime. That's what it's there for.
Hi Jim, my name's Kim. I'm a little bit hesitant, so I'm a desk job at bookkeeping, but we'll get over that. But the question I've got is, if you're going to fail, you fail fast usually, right? And you learn from those failures. So what biggest failures have you had that you've actually had the most learning from?
Okay, I've been divorced 3 times. I don't think you can fail more thoroughly than that. Especially for someone given of my beliefs and the fact that 3 women couldn't stand to live with me isn't a great testimony for my character. I don't think any other failure. At the same time, I have to say I can't regret anything because I can't regret my children. So put it that way. But I would never have imagined I wouldn't be married for life. I don't have a wandering eye. But I've been married to my current wife for 23 years now, and we have a tempestuous relationship, but we're really crazily in love with each other, which means I've hit the jackpot at last. Someone who could actually put up with me long term. But look, I've had business failures. There's a lot of things I've done that the biggest mistakes I made was going into areas I didn't understand very well. Like I tried a holiday resort, trade exchange, a factory to make fiberglass trailers, a psychology institute. I've done a lot of different things, lawn mowing, a computer shop, lawnmower repair shop, all kinds of things over the years. And every time I went into something I didn't really know, I tended to come unstuck. So now we work very closely with the things we understand and we're good at, and we extend those. And that's a very important principle. Stick with what you know.
Okay. And sorry, just one more question, is with 10 kids and everybody else that's around you, how do you get your work-life balance?
I would never ever sacrifice my family for my work, and I wouldn't ask anybody else to do it either. Now maybe if I had, I'd be richer, but what the heck, what does it mean? We're writing a new version of the book, which will be a very thorough rewrite, including a lot of the Jim's people's stories, called No Other Success, and it's short for the saying, no other success can compensate for failure in the home. Look, I just want to give you an example. I've got 2 sons, both of them computer programmers. One of them works for Google. He makes a phenomenal salary. He's a brilliant guy. He's also got a wonderful wife, 2 kids, 2 grandsons, which I adore. This is a really successful guy. Okay, I've got another son who's a computer programmer. He chooses not to use his programming skills. He works on his own projects. He actually stacks shelves in Woolworths to make a living. Got a good wife, got another son, little son. He's another one on the way. Really devoted father, great husband. He's a really successful guy too. And to me, that is far more important than anything else. What do you like as a husband, or I suppose as a wife, a father, a mother, a friend, a member of your local community? What do you actually achieve in life that matters?
I agree. And your health is everything as well, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right.
You got a few that's a good question. You've got a few exciting book projects you're doing at the moment, so it's going to be good to get those out.
Yes, I've got actually 3 books we're working on. One's called No Other Success, which is about gyms, but from the point of view of more from the franchisees who've been successful. One I'm starting to work on called Health and Happiness Handbook or something like that, which is about being healthy and happy. And I am very healthy and a very happy person. There's a science to that. And also another one about the birth rate crisis. I think it's appalling that the we don't have enough children to even to replace ourselves. There's something wrong with the society that doesn't want kids. There really is. And I think that's very sad, because kids are the greatest. They're really bring meaning and purpose to life. And who here's got children? All right, that's great. Isn't that more important than anything? Honestly, how could you possibly think that making a whole lot of money, apart from you need to support your family, that's important. But beyond that, how can it be justified that you neglect your family so you can make more money, so you can have a better car, posher holidays? What does that mean? What is the purpose of life if it's just to make money?
They're going to be really good books, those 3 books. Hopefully not too far away. They're going to be good.
Yeah, within a year or so, I hope.
Go for it.
Speaking of kids, Archie, 3 years of age, about to go to bed. Lenny, 1 year age, I reckon he would be in bed, and g'day to the wife. Matt from Hobart, just thought I'd throw that in there, speaking about kids. Jim, if you were to value your business company to be sold tomorrow, what would the figure be?
I don't know what somebody would pay me for it. Maybe 100 million, I don't know. I mean, it's worth a bit. But frankly, if you ask me what the seller price business is, absolutely priceless. There's no amount of money that would get me. Somebody, let's say it's worth 100 million. If somebody offered me $10 billion for it, I wouldn't take it, because it'd just be destroying what's one of the main purposes of my life, and it's not making money. So,
That's good, mate. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I've enjoyed it.
There you go. Good question, Matt.
yeah, it's a good question.
And get out of your kids watching. And got a question, guys? Feel free to come up and ask anything you like. If not, I can rip them
By the
through.
way, just to ask a question to the audience there. Anybody here either has or intends to have more than 2 children? Could I just ask that question? Good on you. That's great. Good to hear. Give me a round of applause. I'm really pleased to hear it.
Does that mean we get a Jim's baby bonus?
Well, one of the best news I've had in this year so far. One of the best news is that Dan Cole. Many of you know him from the videos. He's a guy who started as a franchisee, been very successful, become a franchisor, one of the most successful franchisors in the country, and he and his wife just given birth to twins. And he said that's because of Jim's.
Yeah, because you told him to do it. That's what he told the wife, and you told him to do it, and he had to do it, and he had 2 twin boys.
And I am just so stoked about that. I think that's so valuably important. It's wonderful. And they've got other kids already. But
They'll be franchisees in 18 years, so it's a +2 for his regions as well. So.
We've got to breed more of the next generation of franchisees. You know that, don't you? Because I want everybody here, this is what I'm asking about, I want you all to be so successful, you're going to actually bring your kids into the business, so your franchise is going to last forever. That's part of the
Well, happens a
plan.
lot. John Wilds, I don't know if you've had John yet, but John's son's just started working. He did a landscaping apprenticeship and come into him. And there's so many kids that are getting involved in their parents' business.
You know, there's businesses in China, in Japan, that have stayed in the same family for 1,400 years.
55 generations.
Sorry?
55 generations. That was the hotel.
55 generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go right back to the earliest stages of and the same family. I think that's an amazing thing. I'd love to think that Jim's at last 55 generations. I know it won't, but still.
Come up and ask a question, guys. Feel free. If not, I'll keep going through here. Yep, just come up and ask them. Yep. Anything you like. It's live on camera. Jim will answer anything as you have seen.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for the opportunity. If you would be a property in Monopoly, which would you be and why?
Good question.
Well, this is Jim's Monopoly is the only proper monopoly here. I mean, seriously. And I have to say that I would go the greens. I would like to buy the greens because that's mowing. It's actually mowing, gardening and rubbish removal.
All right.
So definitely go green. Absolutely.
Not the most expensive one, though.
No, the most expensive is actually
Pest control.
which is equivalent of Mayfair Park Lane. But I go green.
Right.
You know, in the early days of Jim's, we used to talk about somebody who loved Jim as bleeding green. That was kind of the saying. It's kind of multicoloured now because you've got so many divisions, but yeah.
All right, thank you.
But Jim actually wrote the rules. He wrote the cards on this one.
Yeah, I designed it all. I wrote all the. It plays exactly like normal Monopoly, but it's so much more fun. Now the irony is, the first game I ever played, I actually managed to get all of the dog wash, which is red, the the test and tag, which is yellow, and the pest control, which is the purple ones, and then I got bankrupted by landing on rubbish removal. I thought that was so ironical.
It was good service, the other one. I mean, there's videos online as well.
They built a what do you call it, a red gym? The equivalent
We've
of
got
a
little
hotel.
gyms as the hotels, yeah, red gym and the
The
green
hotel gym, yeah.
That's a good one as well. Got a question, guys? Feel free to come up. No, I'll keep going through the list here as well. All right, Jim, let's go to a few more. Someone says, how do you keep fit? What do you do for your fitness routine? You are a very trim person, so what do you do?
Well, I do at least a half an hour every day of running on a treadmill, run about 4.5 Ks, and then I do weightlifting. Just basically 8 kilo weights over my head like that. Plus I walk a lot. I average about 5,000. Plus occasionally I play with this guy, but he's getting so good now that he beats me too much.
You won't play him anymore in racquetball, will you? No.
No, he's too good.
No.
The trouble is, when I started playing him, he wasn't very fit, so I could wear him out. These days he's got fitter, so I can't. But racquetball's good too.
There you go, cool.
And I work on my farm a lot too, at the weekend. I walk there, I dig vegetables, I just do all kinds of things. I mow my lawns with a hand mower on the farm. You know, I mean a literal one, which is no power, just push it and it turns to spokes. So, yeah, important to be fit.
Got a question, guys? Feel free to come up to the mic. Anyone who asks a question gets a prize at the end. That's a good opportunity to do it as well. Got one online here, Jim, as well from Byron. Says, Jim, will you take over Bonza Airlines and call it Jim Flights or something like that? Let's be it online.
You know what they say, how you make a small fortune in the airline business? Start with a large fortune. That's a classic business I would never go into. We have so many opportunities within gyms, so many different divisions we could do. There are countries we haven't even gone into which we could do. There are so many different things. We're actually launching a new division called Jim's Health, which is just about to take off. All about healthy eating and coaching and life coaching and exercise, no, health coaching, exercise, that kind of stuff too. Immensely exciting. I love this kind of stuff. So it's just, the world's full of excitement. There's so many opportunities. They don't need to get into airlines. Thank you.
We did put it out. We did put it out a while back with Jim's Air. We've got quite a bit of traction, that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my contacts from News Corp rang me up and said, what's this about Jim's Airline? And I said, Jason, look at the date. April Fool.
Absolutely, we put it on the back of the thing. Got a question, guys? Feel free to come up and ask Jim as well. Anyone who gets a prize comes up and asks one as well. Okay, got some more questions here from people. So here's a bit of a cheeky one, and I always like this one because it might lift the temperature in a room a little bit with you. So is Chris from Test and Tag here? No, he's gone here. Do you prefer Jeff Kennett or Daniel Andrews? Some political questions.
Yes. I loved Jeff Kennett, actually. I really did. I think he was one of the most admired leaders I've ever come across. I think what he tried to do for the state was magnificent. You know, improving efficiencies, the sort of things that any government should do. And it's sad we haven't had a state leader, and I have to say Liberal or Labor since then, even come close to him. Daniel Andrews is... Well, people know what I think about him. But, I mean, even take aside the lockdown, this is a guy who had, well, he bungled the lockdown. We had the worst lockdown of any state in the Commonwealth. We had the highest death rate per capita of any state in the Commonwealth. He left us with the highest debt per capita of any state in the Commonwealth. I mean, as a government, he's a complete shambles. It really is. The only thing that he's good at is getting re-elected, and I cannot comprehend how he got back in after what he did. It really bugs me. Probably enough said.
We get it all the time because there's another one here about, where is it from? Stefan, it's gone from Jim's pool case, given the opportunity and circumstances, would you consider adapting your April Fool's joke from Jim's party to a political run?
The point of it is just not practical. I'm not a politician. Politics is the art of making it sound like you're saying a lot, but saying very little. I don't have that gift.
You're too direct, too honest.
I'm far too direct. The only thing I might think about one day is standing for an upper house in the state parliament. Because there is one issue that people might know that from the Jim for Premier thing, is I'm really, really passionate about the housing crisis, which is basically a matter of ridiculously tight zoning laws. And I think there's enough of a movement to actually do something about that. They're doing it in New Zealand. They started in Auckland about 7 years ago, and they're ranging across the country too. They are actually slackening. I have to say, I give the Labor government in Victoria one credit. They have actually done a little bit, allowing people to build an extra in their backyard. But it's a desperation. I've got a daughter who's trying to find a place to rent, and there's like 40 people going for every available flat. It's crazy. It's ludicrous. We're getting like how many? 500,000 new immigrants every year, residents, which is great. I'm in favour, but we're not building the houses to house them. So what's going to happen? It's a terrible system. It really is, and it's so unfair. And homelessness is rising because people can't afford to. Interest rates are bad, yeah. People who do manage to afford to buy a house are crippled with these vast mortgages. You should be able to pay off your house. An average house should be like 3 years' earnings. That's what it used to be. You know, when I bought my first house back in the 1970s as my student earnings, I lost it through stupidity later on, but it cost me $33,000. And I made that money on my mowing business. I mean, you couldn't even dream of that today. So it's a big crisis, and I think it's not something that's necessarily left versus right. It's what's fair and right against just a terrible, greedy system where NIMBYs say, nothing, not in my backyard, or bananas build absolutely nothing anywhere near anybody. I mean, there's too much of that. We've got to crack that. That's the one thing that would tempt me to go into politics, and then go into something like the upper house and try to get a thing together and say to the government, whichever it is, Liberal, Labor, I don't care, we'll support you if you do something about this housing mess.
Well, I hope you do. It'd be quite a good brand lift, that one would be. Got around 600,000 views, that little video we did, that little stunt. So.
Well, the amazing thing about it was we've never had a more positive response, 96% favour. That is unheard of. I am very controversial. We often say things about crypto which get people howls of outrage. But this one, 96% in favour. There is a mood in the community for this, and it's about time we did it. There is no reasonable justification for having such exorbitant house prices and refusing permission to build. And it's so difficult. You know, this place here, this is a 5-acre covenant. 5-acre covenant. This is 5 minutes from the shops, 5 minutes from transport, 5 minutes from employment opportunities. Why have you got 5-acre covenant? It makes no sense at all. It's not even good for the environment. It's terrible for the environment because people are having to travel long distances to get in the city and you're burning fossil fuels the whole time. It's anti-green. It's terrible. We just should do something about this. I would be tempted, I must say, upper house of state parliament. I don't think I'd join any political party.
No, it has to be the Jim's party. It has to be. Good for the brand. It's so good. It's so good. For socials, it's so good.
Yeah.
Makes my life a lot easier.
Maybe we can save some taxes.
Save some taxes as well, yeah. Some tax exemptions for heaps of stuff.
Yeah, I'm probably, I'd tell you one of the things I would do is I'd have a fairly hefty land tax. Seriously, I'd put a hefty tax on that, give everybody an exemption so the average person didn't pay anything on their own house, have a hefty land tax, and people who own mansions, people who own acreages they don't want to subdivide, people who want to have houses they're not even using, which happens too often, or they're on Airbnb, all these things that do this, that people sitting on mansions, they should be taxed heavily enough so they say, let me subdivide, let's get subdivision moving, and let's make affordable housing in its place. I would be in favour. And then you could cut taxes, bad taxes like stamp duty, which stop people selling and buying houses, and take the level of income tax down, which is too high.
Yeah, fair enough.
So we shift the burden to land and use that to get the property market moving and get building development happening.
Sounds like it's going to.
It's gonna happen.
It might happen.
Sounds like a plan.
I seriously, it's probably the first time I've said this in public, but I'm really seriously thinking of actually standing for the next state. Upper house. Upper house can hold the balance of power. If I can get other people in the upper house to agree with me and we form a block and say, okay, do something about this. Do something about it.
There you go. That's news.
Hi, Jim. What's company doing as a part of CSR, corporate social responsibilities, and what is your personal opinion about saving environment?
Okay, the great majority of my net income goes towards a project which is designed to help with issues like drug addiction and so forth. It's about 80% of my net income goes towards that. Which is a personal passion of mine, something that raised out of my PhD research. That's what we do. I'm very clear on that. I don't give to charity except I tithe to my church and I support my research project. As to being environment responsible, I think it's very, very important. We have solar panels on this place, we have solar panels on our house, we have solar panels on my farm. I'm developing a farm to be a ecologically sound food forest. We're bringing back the native creatures, the pollinators, the bees, the animals, in an agricultural environment, but basically going things like nut trees and fruit trees and so forth, but strictly organic. I grow a lot of my own food, like pumpkin, potato, those kind of things too. We have, because we've got so much power from the solar panels here, any staff with an electric car can actually charge their car for free. And that works well because they charge it during the day when the power's on, like that. So we encourage our franchisees to have battery-powered mowers. We're really pushing that hard. Actually, there's many advantages too. It's not just an environmental thing, it's also they're quiet, they don't vibrate as much, they don't require as much maintenance. There's a lot of good reasons for that. So we're really encouraging people to think properly about the environment. I have to say too, though, that you can't just shut down fossil fuel without having anything to put in its place. That's just crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And I do think as a country we really ought to be looking at nuclear because it's the only carbon-free baseline form of power that you can have running day and night, and we need that.
If you have to make a tagline for the franchisees to come up with a line that is don't do this, what would you make?
I wouldn't say it's don't. I would say it's do, which means look after each other, look after your customers.
A lot of businesses are coming up with ideas, don't use plastic, single-use
for
plastic
environmental
bags,
stuff,
this and
right.
that, so something like that.
Look, I think that's, yeah, but that's very limited in what it can do. I think we can do the most in terms of electric power and so forth. We've got Jim's Energy, we've got an entire energy kind of division at Jim dedicated to helping to put solar panels on the roof. So they've done a lot of the work around here. So that's a powerful thing. I don't think getting rid of plastic bags, I think that's a fig leaf, to be quite honest. I think we need to go vastly beyond that. I mean, have we got any better? We ban plastic bags in supermarkets. What do? You buy a reusable one. Well, if you look at the amount of power that it takes, you have to use it about 300 times to justify not using plastic. And then you have all this recycling. And we know quite well that this stuff doesn't get recycled.
Yeah, it is.
So we need a lot more nationwide, community-wide efforts to stem this problem. I don't think as individuals we can do much about plastic.
But we have a lot of divisions though, like cleaning division use enzyme-based cleaning products, which are all environmentally friendly and stuff like that, and they promote that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And in the mowing division, a lot of them get the solar-powered trailers, like the Going Green initiative, and a lot of them do the full electric and stuff like that. And they pick up clients. Clients still really use them because they use the full battery gear as well.
Okay.
So some divisions and isolations do different things as well for that.
Thank you.
I do think that kind of stuff does good business as well. I don't see a contrast. In actual fact, electric solar panels are actually very, very cost effective.
Yeah,
See, on the car, that's why I bought electric cars. If I bought my own car for the first time, new car for the first time ever, the reason I get it is I only power it during the day. I would never power it off coal. And I use it as an economy, and I plug it in, and it gets power from the solar panels. And I really like that. But that's actually very economical, because when you see the price of petrol going up and up and up and up and up, and it will not stop going up, believe me, you know that I've got free petrol, which is sunlight.
Thank you. That answers all.
Yeah, you want to plug your book, Jim, because you mentioned that quite heavily then?
Yes. This is, if anybody wants, there's two books here, if anybody wants this as part of their prizes. This is a version of it. It's quite changed since then, actually. I've been developing it a lot, and there's a lot of new research gone in, but this is the book that talks about the research program that I've done.
Is a long question, okay?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, you were talking before about the declining birth rates, and I had an original theory about the reasons for that and possible solutions, and I was wanting to see your opinion on my hypothesis. If a society goes to communal farming, where everybody gets the same amount of food regardless of how much work they put into the farm, you know that the overall production plummets dramatically.
Yes.
And it's basically the same thing that we've done with the existence of pensions and social securities, because it used to be that when you retired, you would live off, your children would have to take care of you, and if you had 10 children, you retired very well, and if you didn't have any children, you would probably die in poverty. But when it became the idea that it was the government's responsibility to take care of people when they were old, now it's basically the same idea where all of the taxes get gathered in from the working people and then divided among the elderly regardless of how much the elderly have actually contributed to making the taxpayer base. So it's generally the same idea, just on a much longer time frame.
Well, you're talking about getting rid of the old age pension. That's a bit more radical than I would go to, I'm afraid. I think as a community we need to look after those in need. The reason for the birth rate plummeting is because it's an effect of wealth and urbanisation, and it's the problem that it had in the ancient world, in ancient Roman Republic, for example, late Roman Republic. You find it in Chinese scholar gentry families. Any society that is wealthy and urban, the birth rate tends to plummet because it's very corruptive to personality, and you undermine religious traditions and other strong things to support society. But I couldn't justify letting people starve in the streets because there's no pension. I don't think that's right. We are a wealthy society. We can afford to look after those in need.
But do you think there would be private independent charities that would be able to, I mean, obviously you couldn't change this quickly, but if you thought like over several decades you put more and more of less government intervention and more private charities who had the responsibility for caring for the
I think the age of retirement is too early. The people, I'm 72 and I do not intend to retire ever. If you are physically fit and mentally fit, you can work for a long time. We've got a lot of franchisees in the Mowing division, particularly working in their 70s. One guy just passed his 80th birthday. Now, they may not work 100 hours a week anymore, but they still work. And they're still out there, physically active and doing something useful in the community. I think we should look at the retirement age very carefully. My mother was a relief teacher at the age of 65, and she was not working full-time. She was just called in. Now, she liked doing it. The principals liked having her in. The kids liked her because she's a good teacher. And the educator said, "You are 65, old woman. Get out of here. You are useless. We don't want you." The principals wanted her. The kids wanted her. She wanted it. You said you're too old. Now, that kind of stupid ageist thinking is out of date. People should not be retiring so early. Maybe you can't work quite as hard when you're 70 or 80 as you did when you were 60. People could still be able to work. We should take away a lot of the things that stop that happening, like making it possible for people to prop up their pension with earnings past a certain age. Those kinds of changes. I'd like to see that. I'd also like to see, we have a duty to look after the people who are unemployed, but part of that duty should be getting them to do something for their unemployment benefits. Like, I don't care if it's picking up litter or working on planting trees up in the desert. I don't care what you do. Let's find some work for them, because the worst thing you can do for anybody is to give them money and say we don't want anything for you, because that is demeaning. If you want money from the public, you come and you do some sort of job and you contribute, and we will teach you skills of work, and you'll keep you fit, and we'll get you ready for employment, move back into the workforce. That's what I'd like to see. But ultimately we have a responsibility to look after those in need.
Okay.
Very detailed question. Well, Jeff Campbell is our oldest starter at 79. I remember we did a video with you up here. Jeff Campbell is 79. He loves it.
Yeah.
He always has a beer after work and sends a photo in from Noosa and stuff like that, and gets young blokes to do all the work and bosses them around. And so we've got a few older franchisees starting the gyms group as well. Anyone else want to ask Jim a question?
Oh, people have got something to contribute too. I mean, there's a reason that people live. You know, if I was a chimpanzee, I'd be dead at 45. Seriously, they don't live past puberty, and yet people can live. My mother lived until she was 93. People can live decades past the age of fertility. Why? Because people have experiences. There's things I know now I didn't know 20, 30 years ago. We can contribute to society in all kinds of ways, through work, through the community, through our churches, through all kinds of different ways. And I think that's valuable and important. Older people have a role in society, and we shouldn't neglect that. We should take advantage. There is some sense of wisdom that you learn with age.
You have a purpose.
Yes, you need a purpose. You're quite right. Yeah.
You got a question, guys? Feel free to come up. I've got a couple more online. Go for your one.
Hi. If I have questions such as if you will give a message to someone or to the franchisee in a Bible passageway, what is that passage, or maybe your favorite verse or passage?
There's two passages in the Bible that I find very relevant to the way I think about business. One of them is the story of Jesus washing his disciples' feet, which happened on the Thursday, the night before he was betrayed. In those days, washing feet was a very dirty, demeaning job, which basically slaves, very low people did.
That's true.
Occasionally, a very revered rabbi, the disciples might wash his feet as a sign of respect. But Jesus washed his disciples' feet.
Yeah.
And this is the lesson of servant leadership.
True.
And everything you hear, we talked about yesterday morning, about how we put franchise first. We are leaders, we serve franchisees. We're not there to be a boss, we're there to look after your interests. That is very directly related to that idea of servant leadership. And the other passage that I love is Jesus' parable of the talents. And the fact that people have different talents. It's not, you probably know the story for me, I don't need to repeat it. But the fact of the matter is what Jesus is saying is not so much how capable you are, it's what you do with what you have. And God expects us to use our abilities, whatever they are. I don't have the ability of someone like a Dyson or a Bill Gates or one of those kinds of guys or a Elon Musk. I mean, those guys are way beyond me. I haven't got their gifts, but at the same time, I've got my own set of gifts, and God expects me to use those to the best advantage.
Yeah, that's so good.
And we all have that. Everybody has talents. Everybody has something to contribute, and we all should do that. It's not only good for society, it's good for us as individuals to feel needed, to feel purpose in our lives.
Yeah, all right. That's so good. Thank you.
One more quick one online. Jim Rubin's gone here. Do you think robotic mowers will take out the Jim's mowing model when it comes into full force?
No, not at all. I think we've got less to fear from automation than almost any other profession in the country. See, if you're going to have a robotic mower, you've got to look after it. You've got to do the edges for a start. You've got to tend it. You've got to remove it. You've got to put it there. There's so many jobs. I'd love to see robotic mowers take on. Look, we have more work than we can possibly handle, and it's not going to change. I like people dig up their lawns and plant vegetables too. I think that's often a better thing to do than lawn mowing. And then we can help with that too. Help people to grow their own food. Teach them how to grow food organically. There's a lot of things we could do. We will never, ever, ever be put out of work by automation, I promise.
It's a great place to be, the home services business. It'll be all the knowledge workers first.
It's very secure. You cannot avoid it. Because not just the job itself, you've got to relate to the client. And you've got to charge the money, and you've got to collect it, and you've got to be there. And there's so much involved. It's the sort of thing that you really couldn't imagine. You might have vast estates where they have robotic mowers doing everything, but for ordinary people, it'll never be practical.
There we go. All right, Jim, what questions stood out to you for the first pick of the prize? And everyone who answered a question comes to me at the end, we'll give you something as well.
I was mentioning two at the beginning. There was the dog wash lady. What was that about?
The dog wash lady about killing someone.
Killing someone, yeah.
All right, that's
I love that one. Nobody ever said that to me.
No, that's an original one. So come up and pick whatever you like. Yep. What else, Jim? What else was there? The threat one was a good one.
Yeah, the threat.
Who mentioned the threat one? Was it the very?
That's a very good question. I never actually considered it, so I thought it was a really good question for that.
Come up and pick whatever you like. Come up now. Grab whatever you like now, for sure.
I'm not going to take another one.
Yeah, come up and grab whatever you like. The book.
Please.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
There you go. Come up and grab whatever you like. And what was the third one, Jim?
Oh, I love what the lady just asked at the end. I thought about values and...
Come up and grab whatever you like. Now, everyone else, answer.
A lot of great questions. Thank you for that, but I just...
We can get you a teddy bear tomorrow if you come to the office. Well, we do have these ones here. Yeah, we can get that one there. Cool. Cool, come up and grab whatever you like.
But we can get you a dog wash one, can't we?
I don't know if we have the shirt, so you can take whatever you like. You want the shirt? For sure, take the shirt. That's good to see the shirt.
All right.
And if you ask the question as well, come up and see me at the end. I've got a whole bunch of prizes. With this as well, guys, what we do with it, it's on YouTube and all that sort of stuff if you want to hear it on the podcast. Thank you very much for your attention tonight as well. If you do know someone in Victoria especially who you want to nominate for 20 grand's worth of free services from Jim's, please do so. If you want a photo with Jim, now's a really good time because Wednesday's a big crush. There's phone going everywhere, so stand with Jim now and give a photo, hand me your camera, and we'll do that for you as well. But thank you very much for your attention and good luck with the rest of your training experience. Cool. All right.